Hello, this is Dreamcap, and welcome to yet another TCS video. The Ka-50 Black Shark, the venerable grand old lady of TCS world, has been with us for almost a decade now. One thing though that still to this day deserves some more attention is how the shark handles herself once the sun sets. Even though the Black Shark is officially presented as a daytime only attack helicopter, it can still operate to a certain degree in the dark. In terms of limitations, the first one appears pretty much immediately. How do you start a helicopter without any light? There is no flashlight or torch implemented as with the Vegan or the Hornet. Even if you start on a FARP with floodlights all around you, the cockpit is still as if submerged in ink. What to do? Well, the first thing to remember is how the helicopter differs between night and day, such as the helmet-mounted device. Instead of the usual helmet-mounted sight, you now have a set of night vision goggles.
Request NVG installation.
Copy. NVG installed.
Of course, these are not the fancy sci-fi God's Eye type of all-around night vision, more like a light amplifying piece of pipe to look through, but they certainly are better than nothing. What's more, they run on a separate power source, so you can power them on without any other system active in the helicopter. Just make sure to map the helmet-mounted sight button before startup, or learn exactly where it is, so you can locate it in the dead of night. Once we get DC power up and running, we need to make sure that the cockpit is properly set up for use with night vision goggles. I recommend that you turn on the instrument lights and NVG instrument lights in order to find your way. With this done, you won't really need the night vision goggles for the startup procedure. As you continue the startup, make sure to adjust the brightness of the HUD, the SCHWAL, and the ABRS displays. If you don't, they will blind you. For whatever reason, the INU display, the light buttons, etc. are not adjustable, but they are sufficiently far away from the HUD and the windshield to not be too much of a factor during flight. During night operations, external lights become equally important, especially if you're flying in multiplayer. You can adjust your nav lights and formation lights. Make sure to agree in the flight on how to set them up. Also, remember that if you can see the enemy's lights, they can see yours. Remember to turn them off as you fence in. Once you are up in the air, using the night vision goggles is again highly recommended. Also, make sure to plan your route ahead and keep an eye out for new power lines, trees, and other helicopter eating land features. In the case of power lines specifically, passing them at a pylon or a pole as opposed to in the middle between them is always a good idea, in darkness more so than ever. When it comes to recon and scouting, remember that your SCHWAL is officially not meant to be used in the dark. You can augment it a tiny bit using the night vision goggles and by adjusting the brightness and contrast. But your ability to scout is limited, and you will likely be using your Mark I eyeball every bit as much as the other optics. When it comes to combat, you can employ all existing weapons such as rockets, missiles, and bombs, however with some additional limitations. You will most likely never be able to lock up a target using your SCHWAL, since that function relies on contrast, Any Vickers and cannon shots will have to be lined up and guided manually. You do, however, have one more trick up your sleeve for night fighting. Among the S8 rocket variants available, you will find the S8OM illumination rockets. Each rocket, when fired, flies for about 9 seconds before bursting into an illumination charge that lights up the ground below it, as long as the ground isn't too far below. The preferred method of employment is to advance until you're about 4 kilometers from your target, then fire a pair of rockets in a 20-degree nose-up attitude. This will illuminate the ground 4 kilometers ahead of you for about 30 to 35 seconds. A skilled illumination pilot will be able to time the shots so that the next pair of rockets light up as the first go out, minimizing the time without illumination as well as minimizing the overlap between shots. As you can see, flying and fighting with the Black Shark at night is more complex and less automated, but you can still deliver quite a mauling to an unsuspecting enemy, and you can have a whole lot of fun doing it. I hope you find this information useful and entertaining. I wish you all a good day, a good night, a good, well, whatever.